Hello and welcome to Cricket Fusion's live broadcast. Today we are here for a special program, and that program is about uh, how to do certain things in cricket. And we are going to cover quite a lot of how to do's. And today I have invited my special friend and a guest who is very keen cricketer, and he loves cricket. And since the lockdown, he is itching for cricket. And we are going to speak to him about cricket, but also we are going to do again some special subjects which is benefit for each and every cricketer who enjoys cricket, who plays cricket. So today is a very special program, and today we are going to discuss the how to choose a bat. And with me we have Bhuvanesh Sankaran, and he is, as I said, very keen cricketer, and also he buys quite a lot of bats, and so he knows quite a lot of information. So we are going to extract quite a lot of information from him and give it to you, so you guys can pass it to others, or you can utilize it for when you need it. So this is the thing we are going to discuss today. So let me welcome Bhuvanesh. Bhuvi, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you, Nas?
I'm good. How are you keeping? How things are and with you?
It is getting better, but slowly that ECB has allowed two people can train together. So I've been back in the field trying to work out my fitness, work on my match fitness too, like bowling spells to a batsman, taking rest and bowling again, doing some throwdowns, and as soon as we swap around and bowl at each other, and been using the bowling machine outdoors as well. So since last week, I'm a bit happy that started moving in the right direction. Things are hopefully the cricket will resume soon.
Mm-hmm. And okay, that's good thing. You already started cricket, and I was trying to play some cricket, but unfortunately, I was uh, I was like a little lazy rather than anything else. But obviously, when things will get easier, then we will start playing cricket, and hopefully this year, maybe in a few months, cricket will be back. Hopefully, finger crossed. So you never know what is going to happen. But let's come to the point, and let's discuss the main issue we are here for, and that is how to choose a bat, because I think bat is very important gear of cricket kit, and basically that speaks itself. And how important that gear is, just let us know, what are your thoughts about it?
Well, definitely, bat does make a big difference when you choose the right bat with the right sort of a weight. There are a few things to consider: the balance of the bat, again, handle, which is the main thing. There are oval handles, round handles. Specifically, how many grips do you need in a bat based on the size of the handle? But what I don't like nowadays from the subcontinent bats is the handle is so small.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to put 3 or 4 grips to get to the right sort of a grip. I need to have buying a bat. First thing first, when you are going to buy a bat from a shop, try and buy it from a shop mostly, because unless you know about bats, looking at it, you wouldn't know the weight, you wouldn't know the balance, how they would perform, unless you do the ping test. Always take your gloves with you, whatever you will wear on a match day. That's the first thing, because a cricket bat, you'll never hold it without a glove, mostly. So always take your gloves with you, because that's how you pick a bat up. You can test your bat pickup.
So okay, let's go slowly and slowly. Let's break it down, and we'll go one by one. So first thing first, I think the weight of the bat is very important. I think in Asia, I don't know in India how things are, but in Pakistan, I think there is one weight, 210, and that is for everyone. There is no concept of having a weight bat, a specific weight for your physique, for your weight as well. That matters a lot. So what do you say about the weight of the bat? plus your own physique as well. So
Depends on your core strength, to be honest, to start with. Your forearms, your core strength.
yeah,
Again, the lighter the bat is, the bat speed would be higher. Whether you are sort of a stroke player where you just time the ball, then you can cope with a heavier bat. Where if you want bat speed and blaze the ball out of the park, then you would need a lighter bat. When I grew up, similar sort of a situation. I always used cashmere willows to start with when I was young. Couldn't afford an English willow. Those were heavy bats. I always played with anything over 3 since I've been 15. So always my bats have been really heavy.
yeah,
Lighter bats, things now become affordable. Now people know what weights, because of the international cricket, they talk about bat and bat weight and everything in the commentary. If you look at 20 years back, no one spoke about bat weight or anything. 3-4 years ago, when during a county season on Sky Sports, they were telling what bat weight the batsman was using, along with the bat speed and everything else. So people have had more information. Now when you go to a shop, people do definitely ask, what's the bat weight is the first thing.
yeah. Again, weight of the bat. I think there's quite a lot of noise. The weight of the bat is very important in a sense, like as you said, like physique, your core strength is important. Because in the end, when you buy a bat, it's all about balance. It's all about how you feel about it. As you said, like you mentioned, like when you buy a bat, use gloves. When you get that feel, when you have that bat in your hand, because obviously with your bare hand you will always feel better because your grip is more stronger. It is your bare hands. Whereas when you are talking about your gloves, you don't get that feel, that grip of your bare hands. So obviously that matters a lot. And also the weight difference matters a little bit. Like when you feel with your bare hands, you might feel like more lighter, but when you find with the gloves,
it's the other way around. You'd feel it heavier when you with the bare hand, because the grip is bit tighter. You'll feel it heavier,
yeah,
but with the looser grip, you feel it more lighter with the glove on, as well as you'd feel how the bat moves along with the glove on, because when you are gripping the bat, you need to make sure you grip it well so it doesn't turn in your hand when you play a stroke. Because shot selection is something, timing is something. If your grip is bad, regardless of your shot selection, you're not going to time the shot, which you're going to not help scoring runs the way it is to get out, basically. So I always, ground rule for me since I've been young, always wear my gloves, first thing first, as soon as I go to the shop. I always take my gloves to the shop as well, because even when you're buying a new glove, it's slightly different, because the one you use in match, it gets molded to your hand after days going through your hands. So you pick up the bat and you know how they feel straight away.
yeah,
As soon as you grip it, a strong grip of a top hand will always tell you and where you can maneuver. The best way to choose is try and do a high elbow with your top hand, not leave the bottom hand alone. Whether you would be able to balance it with your top hand is the next thing I would check when I'm buying a bat. That's when weight matters, because most of the shot when you're playing, it's mostly your top hand and high elbow takes the ball through. Drives, cover, or even cut, or even pull. Your top hand always guides the bat in the direction. And if you're able to hold the bat and play the angle down, angle, see that you are able to control that bat.
yeah. Okay, yeah. I think that is very, very useful information. But let's we discussed the weight of the bat, then try with your gloves. What is the next thing? The handle of the bat, that matters as well, like long handle, short handle.
Definitely matters to me. I always prefer slightly oval handle rather than a round handle. I always prefer that because round handle, what I feel is when I do have bats with round handle too, that's a round handle bat. But when you're holding it with the glove on, it doesn't. When I'm using my top hand to do a cover drive, I always feel I'm not using a very softer grip on my bottom hand with the round handle bat. It could be a personal preference. There are two handles you can get. One is round handle and most the oval handle. The oval handle is predominantly over in the northern hemisphere. I would say with England and the swinging condition, normally if you are buying a bat in subcontinent, it's always round handle. I've never seen a bat with an oval handle in subcontinent conditions.
Yeah. So, is the height different when you buy a bat or like long?
You can. Yes, you can Google the size of the bat and the height for yourself. So definitely that matters. The short handle is for someone who is, I think, so between 5'8" and 6'1". Anything above it, you would need to go long handle. Anything below a 5'8", you go Harrow, and the kids have size 1 to size 6 bats. When you are buying a bat for your kids as well, do not think that I'll buy a one-size bat and he'll grow into it.
Yeah.
It's hard for them to pick up a heavier bat for their age, and they wouldn't be able to play a few shots or learn to play a few shots with that heavier bat. So always when you're buying a bat for your kid, use the bat size chart measure and make sure the kid's able to handle that weight and handle that size bat. And then every year it's an investment. Unfortunately, it's not a cheap game to play with the bat cost going up nowadays. It gets more expensive. But the best thing to do, I always say, is make sure you use the size chart, which is always good.
Okay. So again, as you said, it depends on the height and other things. Another thing which is important, I think, the heavy bat and lightweight bat. Obviously, Owen Morgan uses like very lightweight bat just because he can maneuver it, and he's a T20 or ODI specialist. Whereas Sachin Tendulkar uses like very heavy bat in Test cricket and also in one days as well. But having said that, players have different bats for the situation of the game as well. So they usually change the bat in between. So does that matter, like in T20 game or in Test match, the weight of the bat and
It does. If you are using a heavy bat, your bat speed will reduce. You can't generate a heavy bat speed.
Yeah.
There are a few players who do play with heavy bats. One was Sachin. Chris Gale used a heavy bat, but his core strength matches no one else in terms of how hard he hits the cricket ball. Some of the sixes he hits are equal to 12, I would say. That's how big they are. Again, if you look at the bat speed of Ian Morgan or even the best bat speed I always watch, hand and bat speed, amazes me, is Brendan McCullum. If you watch his bat speed, regardless when he plays Test or ODI or T20, it's phenomenal, and he uses a 2.7 bat. Whereas if you see Sachin played his innings, he's more sort of guides the ball and times the ball through rather than hit it really, really hard. If he's going to hit it hard, he will go slightly. Still, his bats were over 3 pounds, but he goes slightly lesser weight bats. But in terms of the bat speed, with the sort of people try and play more shots with the rams and everything nowadays, lighter bats would generate that sort of a bat speed for you.
Yeah, because I think again, as I said, condition matters, plus also the ball as well. Because we use like a red ball for Test cricket, white ball for ODIs, so that matters as well. Because the white ball is a little bit softer, and it's quicker as well, rather than red ball is other way around, So that matters somehow, somewhere.
It's a dye process. When you dye the leather, it changes the whole what do you call the ball's strength. I think so. The white or the pink ball travels a mile. Whether it's just players' mindset on the day when they come in to play a T20 or sort of a one-day cricket, they want to hit the ball really, really hard. It flies a mile, and the red ball doesn't. It doesn't. It feels different when you play cricket. Regardless, even when you're netting, you will feel the difference. When the red ball's bowl, you would feel the bowler is more or less bowling a heavier ball at you. It comes in heavy. In terms of the white ball, it always feels softer and it goes off the bat really quick.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So okay, that's really interesting. But having said that, there is quite a lot of other things matter in a cricket bat, and one is basically the grains of the bat. I think if you have the bat with you. I think I have the bat with me as well.
Yeah, I've got a few bats with me.
Yeah, so we can show like how the people can see the grains of the bat, like what are the grains are, and how many grains are enough for a good bat. So yeah, what are your thoughts about it?
It's grains definitely do matter. I'm putting in a few bats. I'll show one at a time.
Yeah.
In a bit, and if you look at that bat, that has a lot of grains. That's a 14 grain bat.
Yeah, I can't. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's, again, these are grade 1 bats, but these are only 7 grains. But if you look at the space of the grains,
yeah,
they're nice and straight, no stains on them. They are very, very even spaced.
Yeah.
These are your grade 1s, what they call it as a grade 1. The player grade bats normally has more than quite a lot of grains, about 10 grains on it. These are the player grain bats. Which you can see quite a lot of grain, very, very narrow, spaced. And that's a 7 grain bat, isn't it?
Can you hold yours like this so people can see it? A little bit closer to you. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's fine. No, you can't see it. But anyways, yeah, I can see.
Yeah, the light refraction, that's what I was holding it a different way. If you look at the grains, there is a lot. And this bat, again, we'll talk about it later, but this bat is really, really hard pressed bat. It's not a soft press bat. We'll talk about pressing as well, how they press the cleft and how does that matter in terms of the performance. Again, another bat, this is your grade 2 bat. You've got some blemishes there, even though the grains are great, but it has few blemishes within the grains. The blemishes is where you normally have a little branch sprouting out. They normally prune it away, but that will leave a knot, what they call it as, within the bat cleft. It's nothing wrong to have a blemishes in the center of your bat. Those part is slightly harder than the rest of the bat itself. So you can have some blemishes.
These spots, or whatever you call it, sometimes
knots.
Yeah, give a very bad gist to the hand as well, and sometimes you damage your hand as well. Like
it doesn't. It just the knots is slightly harder, so the bat wouldn't have that sort of a ping, right? If the ball hits right at that, but you're talking about a knot which is less than a 2 millimeter in diameter. If the ball hits, you have got plenty of other softwood around it to go through. The shock will come through if the cane handle and the rubber in the cane handle is not properly done. These cane handles do matter in your bat. The cane handles do have rubbers in between to absorb the shock. It's made of layers of wood and piece of rubber put together throughout the handle. That's for purely absorbing the shock.
Okay.
So if the cane handle is not done properly, then you may get few shocks. And regardless how well the cane handle has been done, if you're going to hit the ball there, which is the toe end of the bat, you will get a massive shock, and you won't be able to time the ball when you hit the ball there. Your sweet spots needs to be nice, and depends on the situation. We will talk about the sweet spot, the swivel, whatever you want to call it as, and how high it needs to be, how low it needs to be as well. We'll talk about that later in the show. But the knots doesn't affect the bat performance, as far as I have played with quite a lot of bats. And my favorite bat is, I've been using this bat for 10 years. No one would believe it, that I've been using this for 10 years. This specifically have a knot across there. But I've hit sixes, which goes a mile, and Naseem has seen me hitting sixes goes a mile, in whichever ground I play. So definitely it doesn't matter. And that lies right in the middle of the bat.
Cool. Okay. So these are the grains. I think they are very important as well. Like you said, like if there are more grains, that is not even a good bat. So it depends on
how more the grain is, the bat becomes really harder. Because you got grains where the bat becomes harder, and players nowadays uses heavy bats, hard bats, which are softly pressed to start with. That's the reason why you have loads of bat breaking at international level. You wouldn't have seen bat breaking as much as it happens quite regularly now in your PSL or IPL, or in international cricket, whereas in the olden days they used to carry 2 or 3 bats in the kit bag. The players now use a hard willow, which is really softly pressed, which becomes brittle when you don't time the ball right in the middle.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this is the part of things. There are different kind of willows as well, and I think that is very important, because that depends on like which willow it is durability of it, is the quality of it. You know, which one is the best one? Which one is the best willow people use, and which is the most
historically and even still now? English willow bats are the best bats. You do get 2 more willows nowadays on the market. One has been started flooding pretty recently, is the Siberian willows, where you can get really, really close grains. I'm talking about really close grains of 14 to 20 grains in a bat, in the Siberian willow. Cashmere willow, it's always heavier on the side. You don't have even grains mostly with the cashmere willow bats. You hardly find a cashmere willow bat which has a very even grain throughout, spread out nicely. So those are the 3 types of willow, but English willow always dominate the higher end of the market, which is very good willow for the bats.
And do you think like the Serbian or Siberian? What is this willow? Serbian willow or
Serbian willow?
Serbian. Oh. Serbian willow is a good willow, because like people are complaining about it. Like it has a very short life, and maybe it is good for a season, and it gives you what you needed. But having said that, its lifespan is very, very small.
The reason being is it's a hard bat. The clefts are really, really hard. If you look at the number of grains, it's closer, as we touched earlier. It doesn't last long for a reason, because these are hardwood, not pressed really hard. The reason, if it's pressed really hard, you wouldn't have the ping of the ball coming out of that bat and goes a mile. So what they do is pressing the clefts, really important in the bat making process. And these are hardwoods which are really, really soft pressed. What happens in those scenarios is they don't last long.
Okay, let's talk about this important issue as well: hard press and soft press, because that comes in willow as well. Why people prefer soft press and some people prefer hard press? What is the difference?
The hard press bat is basically, you would, if you're having a nice heavy bat, but you do need a nice hard press bat, it will last long to start with, but the ping of the bat would be slightly lesser than a soft press willow. It is like a foam, basically. Think about it. If it's a hard foam and you bounce something on it, the bounce of that wouldn't be higher, whereas a soft foam, when you drop something, it bounces slightly more. A simple physics, that is, basically. It's just when you hit the ball, when it's soft pressed, it goes a mile. The reason why the ball travels a mile nowadays in international cricket, the stadiums, they can easily clear the stadiums, is because of that reason. It's really soft press willow, regardless of the bat or the grains, and it pings of the bat. And then preference, as I've said, this is to make this bat. That's still, according to the current guidelines, it's a 40 mm. 40 mm in terms of the edge width, and then that should be 66 there at the maximum sweet spot. And this is a really, really hard press bat, and he presses the willow really hard. But if I need to time anything, I don't want to play my shot. I'm playing an innings where I'm going to block. I'm going to time along the carpet. I don't want to swing sort of an innings. I would rather play with this bat. I wouldn't lift the ball. I'm not going to cut the ball every now and then again. Play the shot along the carpet. The best bats are nice and heavy bats, nice and hard press bats. These again, same willow. This is really soft press. Again, if you look at the same edge size, it's still 40 mm. And this bat's 210. And that bat, the previous bat I showed you, is 3.6 in terms of the weight. So if you look at it, if the bat's going to be of a similar size in terms of the edge, in terms of your sweet spot, the only way to achieve that is pressing this bat really softer. As soon as the ball hits the edges, you will have indentation, which you can really see with the soft press bats. So always have edge tabs on, make sure you have a bat face on as well, because you could easily crack an edge with a soft press bat.
I think you explained very well. The thing I want to ask, and that is the shape of the bat. Where should be the more weight? Where should be the chunk of it? What kind of, like, if it's a hard-hitter batsman or tail-ender, what do they want? And
depends. It's not the bat by the middle needs to be. It's the bat middle is based on not the batsman. More or less, it's based on the pitch you're playing in. If in sort of the July time in England, you can use this sort of a bat. If you look at it, the middle's about there. So you do get slightly higher bounce in England around July time-ish, between end of mid-June-ish to July time, when you have a good summer period. That's when you get a good bounce. Earlier in the season, you don't get heavy bounce. I always prefer a nice low middle bat. So these are, look at the middle, it starts there. Below. So these low middle bats, it goes, the spine runs through till the bottom, and it starts nice and really low. The sweet spot starts really low, which does matter if you are playing on a wicket which wouldn't bounce really high. Which always matters. So most of my bats, it depends on this one again, runs the spine right to the bottom of my bat always. And again, this is slightly higher middle bat in terms of if you look at it. So I do vary my middle spots and then pick a batter based on the pitch condition on the day.
Last but not the least, and that is the grading of the bat. There are different types of grades. Why are they important, and how to choose one grade? And grade. What is this grading simply? So, if you know anything about it. Looks like we have a connection issue, and we are again trying to connect Bhuvi soon. Do, 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 do. So let me give you our feedback. What we have discussed is back on. I think we had an issue with the internet thing, but I
Yeah,
think
my computer
we were.
restarted all of a sudden.
Sorry,
Sorry,
it's all right.
my computer restarted all of a sudden.
Uh,
I've just connected back. Sorry about this. And grading matters. The grading system recently has definitely changed, I would say, in terms of it. Before, the grade ones used to be slightly more number of grades between 7 and 9. Now, if it's an evenly spaced grade, and if you get a 7, you do get a grade 1 nowadays as grade 1 listed. It's due to the number of willow we have been using, the number of willows we have been using a lot recently, because of the bat manufacturers provide manufacture lots and lots of more bats nowadays than how it was done before, and they keep breaking. That's due to various reasons. It's just not the bat pressing itself, it's bat aftercare, how you manage them as well. We'll talk about it once we speak about the grading.
so
Your player's grade, as we did
so there is Harrow bats,
earlier.
then junior bats, and then grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. You know.
No. The Harrow bats are not graded. Harrow bat is a bat size.
All right.
Between 5'6" and your short handle, you have a Harrow bat where even an adult can use it if he is really a smaller chap. If it's a 5-foot guy, doesn't mean that he will be able to cope up with a short handle because of the length of the bat. He can still use an Harrow bat.
So it doesn't matter, like, Harrow grading is nothing related to. It's not related to what you call size of the bat. The grading.
The grading doesn't relate to size of the bat. It's purely based on your grains. It's purely based on your stains, your blemishes, what they call it as. That's what it matters when it comes to grading.
So what is grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3? Again,
you start with pro grade, player's pro grade, which is any bat without any sort of a blemish at all. This does have a stain. This is not a pro bat, but I'm talking about any bats. I'm trying to get the best of the light.
I think, yeah, that's it.
Any bat, this sort of a grain, I would say. No stains, no decoloration along the face of the bat, no knots throughout. Normally, with a 10 to 14 grain or higher, normally graded as a pro range bat. As soon as these cleft comes in, the bat manufacturer actually put them away on the side for county players and the professional players to start with. These more or less hit the shelves really, really rarely. With the English willow, with Caribbean willow flushing the market at this stage, you can see quite a lot of bats with the higher number of grains on the market nowadays. But when it comes to English willow, I've spoken to many bat manufacturers. As soon as normally a good pro range clef comes through, they kept aside 4 players basically. They don't hit shelves mostly because those are the bats mostly are going to help them sell the other ranges. People see them on the television, see them hitting the ball mile, and go and purchase the brand rather than the willow.
Okay. Let's talk about aftercare, and I think the video is already very long, and we have to just. I think we have to finish very soon. So let's talk about the aftercare. When you buy a bat, it's a very expensive gear. But then you have to be very, very careful when you use it, and even put it on the shelves at home or wherever.
Yeah, I always say during summer, people tend to leave the bat in the boot along with the kit. Please don't do that because the moisture content in your bat is more important than anything. The moisture in the wood If it dries out, it's going to break soon. The best way to preserve the moisture is always have a face sheet on, because when you are playing outdoors in English condition, you will suspect to have a wet wicket or a wet day. You're still playing cricket, where if you're going to absorb that wet moisture on your face of the bat, it's going to crack. Toe end. I personally prefer always having a toe guard. The reason is you're going to tap your bat on the floor any number of times when you're batting, which is going to absorb the moisture through, which is going to go through your bat, and you could have bat cracks at the toe end always. The bat always cracks at the toe end if you have a look, most of the bat. The reason being is the pitch moisture goes through the bat. So toe guard is always useful. People don't prefer it. It will increase your weight by a few ounces of the cricket bat, but it's better to have it because it's sort of the thing which keeps your bat life really, really long. Every year, make sure you oil the bat at the back and take the face off, oil it at the front, and then put the face back on after 2-3 days. It's easy to do it. You can do it all by yourself. It costs you about £5 to £10 in between that to do it as a whole yourself.
Cool. Okay, let's finish it up. Let's wrap it up. I think the video is already more than half an hour long. So, what do you conclude? What are your final thoughts about buying a bat? Choose a bat. What do we have to keep in mind?
It's all on your budget, basically. Do not go for the first thing you need to prefer is the bat weight, which you're able to handle. Don't worry about the grading. A grade 2 bat or even a butterfly bat can perform as well as better as a pro bat. Remember that. Do not get put away because it has a stain or a knot in your cricket bat. The weight matters. Your handle, your grip matters. The round handle or the oval handle matters, which is what you need to specifically have a look at and feel for that bat when you are buying a bat. Don't get put away by the stains in the bat. That's what my...
Sorry, there's so many interruptions today. And let's finish it up. Thank you very much for giving us time. And I think we will touch base again on other subjects, how to bowl, or how to do other things in cricket. So thank you very much for joining today, and hopefully all of the viewers have enjoyed it, and we will put this video in a very good montage, and then we will present you again. So thank you very much, Bhuvi, for giving us your time, and hopefully we'll again meet up.
Cheers.
Thank you.
And Eid Mubarak for you too as well and your family soon.
Thank
That's
you.
in a couple of days, isn't it?
Cheers. Thank you.